All right, awesome. Here we are, Finish Strong Friday with a fresh new look. Over here, he's over here now. Fresh new look. My business partner, Eric Jacobson, in the house without the mechanical.
$6 million man.
Yeah, great to have you back in full force, buddy.
Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. It's good to be back. Good to be back, like a whole new life.
There we go. Yeah. So, all right, guys, for those of you who are new or not used to being on our Finish Strong Friday calls, well, this is, in fact, hashtag FSF Finish Strong Friday. And we are all about being in the right mindset here, teaching about the right mindset. This is not so much a strategic call, although mindset is a strategy as well. So I guess it's very strategic in that regard. But we focus on mindset largely because about 90% of success or failure is happening right in between your ears. What you're telling yourself, what your patterns are that you're running, you know, all the various things that are going on with those old tapes or CDs or MP3s playing in your head. So depending on what era you come from, most of us, it's probably, for some of us, it's probably like 45s. I know I got a couple smiles because somebody knows what I'm talking about. All right.
8 tracks.
So, yeah. What's that, Lee?
I said 8 tracks.
8 tracks.
8 tracks playing in your head.
8 tracks for sure. 8 tracks in the house too. So we do these calls every Friday. Right now, as you probably heard, or if you haven't heard, we are scaling down all the trainings to just the morning huddles and the success calls. Don, what's going on, buddy? You're in the house too. All right, good to see you guys. So I'm really happy that our call is still happening for now, and we're going to do it up just like we always do it up. So for those of you who may be new or may have not been here for a while, let's just kind of run it down a little bit. My name's Jeffrey Howard, but please call me Jeff. That's what my friends call me. My mom calls me Jeffrey when I'm in trouble. And we, along with my business partner here, somewhere over there, there he is. Yeah, over here. That's Eric Jacobson, who we are happy to say is here without a massive mechanical contraption on his person, as that was relieved from him last week. Those of you who don't know, just real quickly, Eric got in an accident when we were up doing a business retreat up in Tahoe about 3 months ago and had a pretty serious concussion and 2 broken neck vertebrae. You know, he broke his neck. So he's out and back and in the house. So Eric, talk to us, buddy.
So excited to be here. My name is Eric, live in Minnesota, and I've been absent from these calls because I was just not myself when I was in my neck brace, and it was just hard for me to focus and to get onto these training calls. So happy to be back and happy to have a new lease on life and ready to rock and roll this thing into 2019. So we're at a great spot right now. There's a lot happening, and you guys are exactly where you're supposed to be in time. And we're here to help you maximize the return on your attention in this opportunity that we've got moving forward. So
return on attention. Yes, we heard that phrase yesterday morning with some of our mentors, our mastermind group that we're involved with. That's actually a really cool term. Return on attention. Like it.
Yeah, because I mean that's what our time is, really our most valuable asset. Really, it's not your money. You know, it's not what you know, it's not what you it's not automation or systems or any of that stuff. It's your time. So we appreciate you being here, and we're going to take advantage of this time together and help to coach you and train you the best we can on what it is that we believe that's going to help you the most moving forward. So
absolutely. And you know what? I want to just kind of go back through our general introduction a little bit more deeply, because some of the things that we usually cover in the introduction are more relevant to this topic than usual, actually.
Yeah.
You know, Eric and I have both been involved with this industry for a long time. I think combined, we have somewhere north of 50 years, 5 decades, if we put us both together. Personally, I've been an entrepreneur. Well, really, I've been an entrepreneur most of my life, but officially and formally became a full-time entrepreneur 22 plus years ago. So May 15th of this year, I was able to celebrate my 22nd anniversary of firing my boss. And, you know, there's been a lot of ups and downs on that entrepreneur roller coaster, a lot of changes. And that's our topic today, is embracing change. And in fact, I put it a little bit differently when I announced it. Managing and embracing change, which is obviously a very timely topic because we're about to go through some changes here. And, even we don't know exactly what they are yet, but we're going to talk about why understanding this and embracing this is important in business and also in life in general. So in this 22 years time that I've been around this industry, I've been involved with, I just stopped counting. I just call it 30 plus different companies. Now, that may seem like, wow, this guy must be like ADD or something, which, there might be a little truth to that. But truth is that I really don't enjoy chasing shiny objects without a reason. And the reason that I've had to make all these changes throughout my entrepreneur career is because change happens, because things happen that are out of your control. The reason that we talk about teaching you to be master marketers as part of our core strategy is because once you understand marketing, once you're a marketer, then you're no longer at the mercy of any particular company or opportunity or product or whatever it might be, because you can transfer that skill set over to whatever else you want to do. And you can do it fairly quickly if you develop that skill set at a high level. So just to go down the list of a few things that caused me to change ships along the way, going back to the very first company. So 31 companies, I've been successful in 9, and success is just my sort of loose definition of a financial success, is 6 figures or better in 9 different companies, not including my coaching business, which I've had for 18 years and still is successful. So my very first company, I was fortunate to have a mentor, somebody who took me under his wing. I didn't know anything about network marketing. And he took me under his wing. He was making $100,000 a month at the time. And that was just like a mind-boggling number for me, which just blew me away, this guy. But he was an older guy. He'd been around the block a couple times. I was fresh and new. I was in my 30s, I guess, but still I was, fresh in the industry. And and so what happened with that company is that that turned out to be my very first company where I was able to earn 6 figures. And so I felt like I was, cruising along. It was what helped me to, fire my bosses, which at the time was a law firm, which is, that was pretty satisfying to fire a bunch of lawyers. But, we had, done well in that business. And then we had this great thing that everybody was building up to. It was, we were going to be featured on one of those news programs. It was, I don't actually remember, it was 48 Hours or Dateline, or, it was like that caliber. It was one of those national news program. We are all fired up. We're promoting this thing across lines, national calls. Everybody needs to be on this thing, da-da-da-da-da-da. And everybody was. And instead of, what the interview would never have indicated that the presentation was going to be what it was. But the way it turned out is that they turned it into like an expose on this multi-level marketing pyramid scheme world, right? As opposed to this thing where we were going to be featured as this amazing company that had these great products, which is what we were told. So they did this sort of bait and switch. And it wasn't just, the local news. We're talking about like, again, I don't remember which one it was. It's been a long time, but it was one of those.
60 minutes,
Dateline, 48 hours, 60 minutes. It was like that, and everybody was shocked and amazed. And of course, that level of fear that got into people from that point was just like watching, rats jump off a sinking ship. And ironically, the ship didn't sink in any way, shape, or form. Most of the people that left were people that weren't doing that much anyway. And if you really analyze the process of what happened, not that much changed overall. But that kind of thing is why you have to have really strong mindset to continue to move forward, right? And so that's just one example. And that was in my very first company, guys. That's one example of, 30 plus different companies. And obviously not, crazy things haven't happened in each and every one. But, I've had, for example, I've had companies go out of business. I've had companies change their major product, which was, they focused on one single product in a product line, and then they brought in all this other stuff and made the focus all about that and dropped the product that we were really focused on building a business around, which caused half the business to go away. I've had, things that a lot of people who have been in any kind of network marketing business have experienced, which is like your number one distributor, the person who was responsible for in my case, 2/3 of my income, decided to go chase a shiny object, go do something else. And so, within 30 days, 2/3 of my income went away. And, I could spend another 15 minutes telling you all the things that have happened over that period of time.
And I could do the same.
Yeah. And in fact, go ahead, tell your couple of horror stories.
Well, I'll tell you just a couple. One that was, 2008, 2009, when the economy crashed. I was in a network marketing company. I was doing fantastic. I had about 5,000 people in my organization, and it looked like it was just really going to crush. And then all of a sudden, the economy dropped out, or the bottom dropped out in the economy, and we were selling basically a juice that was $200 per month to have. And so when people have the choice of, okay, do I put gas in my car and feed my kids, or do I buy this $200 bottle of juice? They don't choose the juice, right? They're all done, man. And like the income went from substantial to nothing in a heartbeat. And then something just recently, Jeff and I, it's not a secret that probably, like 8 months ago, we had a period of time where we were really focused on cryptocurrency, and we
were killing it too.
We'd ramped up, and we were ready, man, we're going to crush this thing. It's going to take off. And like, boom, we're doing this thing. And like the instant we said, yeah, we're jumping on, and we were making really good money, actually.
Yeah, we were crushing it, man. We were killing it. Yeah. And literally the second we made the commitment to it, like, go ahead.
The second we made the commitment to it, boom, the company goes away. The opportunity's gone. Everything explodes. It's like, and, so things happen. Now, here's the thing. We've told this story, right? This isn't what's happening here. This is not what's happening here.
Oh, yes. Let's give this a context, okay? Everybody knows that there's changes afoot with our organization, with our community. That's not what's happening here, just for the
But we're just saying, there's time. But here's the crucial piece, right? Here's the crucial piece. If you become a master marketer, it does not matter. None of those things matter. You can market anything. You can turn on, turn off your automation, your marketing, as you want, and you can market whatever it is that you want to market, and you can make money, and you can turn it on and off like a light switch. And so that's what we're all about creating. That's what we're all about helping you to create. And well,
here's the thing about that too, though, you guys, is it's like there's two things you need to focus on. Become a master marketer, but become the master of your mindset, all right? Become the master of your life, your emotions, the way you handle these things. We're going to talk about this as we move through the training today, but this is all within your control, all right? How you respond to the situation is the most important thing, not the situation itself. It's how you respond to it. So if you choose to dive under the covers and just wait for it all to be over, well, it's going to be too late for you. So that's why we focus so much on mindset every single Friday throughout our own organization, our own team. Our coaching is all about mindset first, strategy second, right? Strategic meaning, obviously the pushing of the buttons and all the things that go along with being a marketer. So, these two keys will help you to be here, at the end of the day, at the end of 90 days or whatever it is. And let's face it, guys. I mean, when was the last time change was in most people's minds like a really super positive thing? We just had a changing of the guard in the presidency, for example. So, I mean, you could be on either side of the fence there, but that, clearly there's been a massive change. We've all had to adjust one way or the other to, no matter where you stand in that situation. Change is inevitable. I don't know who said it, but it's an ancient quote, the only constant in the universe is change.
Jeff, I'm going to just add one other thing. And we were on a mastermind call very similar to this yesterday with two members of, Jeff and I are partnered with Brad and Ryan at the highest level as far as, and they're part of 8FDL cash flow tactics. I'm not sure exactly which which program that's?
It's a product in the VIP. I'll tell you in a second, but yeah, they're one of our. We met them at our last live event, and we decided to take them up on their mastermind offer, and it's amazing.
And
like
we were on a mastermind call with them yesterday, and it's funny because they're talking about, financial certainty, and the base foundation of financial certainty is mindset. It's like that is like having the right mindset with the culmination of this entire mastermind call we had with them, which everybody that's in that group, those are people making multiple 6 figures to 7 figures a year. I mean, they're high level people, and that whole call, it really pumped Jeff and I up, because feeling like we're exactly in the right spot. And actually, Jeff, I'm gonna you talk about something for a sec. You take that over, and then I'm gonna share my screen on something and just kind of.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. So for those of you guys who may not know, Brad and Ryan actually are product providers for the Entrepreneur Investment Book, which is in the VIP package. And the reason that we decided, aside from the fact that they were super impressive at our last live event, the reason we decided to go with their mastermind is because it's at that time of evolution for our business where we needed to really be thinking about some of the things that they're really good at. But mostly for me, like the tipping point for me was the live event. Their presentation at the live event was just a confirmation of what I already believed to be true. When we rolled out their product, I think it was last March, just the introduction webinar for rolling out their new product, they shared one nugget that already has more than paid for the cost of the VIP program. Just the one tip that they gave with regard to, it was really, I won't go into the details of it, but it was about how to pay yourself, essentially, how to pay yourself within a company structure, like if you have an LLC or corporation or whatever. Instead of just taking a salary, you do a salary and a dividend thing. That's the one thing I took away. And I was like, you know what? If every single person that was thinking about coming into this business knew that they were going to get all of their 21 to 25 to however much $1,000 back just by knowing this one thing, it's just a lot easier to sell that product. Guess what? Boom, boom, boom. Almost everybody that came into the business with us after that came in at the VIP level. And that was kind of typical for us, but all 5 of our sales in September were VIPs, and that was our first 6-figure month. So, these things are all vitally important to not only your mindset, but again, your strategy. And, that was the reason we made the choice to work with these guys. But what was interesting yesterday is that they didn't say anything really about mindset at their presentation. They don't really talk about mindset in their training that we have in the back office. But when we got to the end of, they actually built this thing called the financial pyramid, and they skipped the entire bottom step. So, okay, so here it is. That's cool that you captured that. So the bottom orange section there, they didn't even talk about that at all until the very end. And they said, we're going to come back to that. So they built up all these other pillars. And then at the bottom, they said, okay, now here's where the real here's where the real rubber meets the road. Here's where the real foundation is built. Your mindset, your skill set, and your network. And we were just like, oh,
that's us. That's what we do.
The clouds parted, the angels sang.
And that's what all of you do.
Yeah, and that's what that's what we're doing, and that's what we're wanting to teach you, and that's why we focus so much on mindset, because we believe the same thing. Your foundation needs to be built firmly on that part, because without that, it's like you're building on sand. So you can have all the other things together, and then still sink back into the ocean. So anyway, that's not really what this call is about today, but it was an interesting transition.
Anyways, this was an hour-long presentation. They started with a blank slate here and kind of built through this thing, and it was fun and impressive to go through, and so anyways, but we're gonna build on that. So we're just gonna talk about today. The topic of today's talk is just the concept of change. And what your mindset should be around change, and how you can embrace it, and make it a positive thing in your life, and make it something that fuels you to create.
And not only how you can, but why you need to.
Yeah.
It's vital. It's vital because, like I said, the only constant in the universe is change. By the way, we didn't really get into this, and there may be some people who are new. We do love to make these calls interactive, these trainings interactive. Everybody's muted right now except Eric and me. I think Lee's unmuted, but that's because she's being so nice and quiet, so I'm just leaving her. Yeah, oh, yeah, she's unmuted. So you can always unmute yourself if you have something to I'm going to capture the loop there. Okay. Yeah, so you can always unmute yourself if you have a question or a comment. And also you can use the chat. And so this is the chat if you haven't seen it yet. The chat, if you don't know where it is, that should have popped up an orange bubble on the bottom of your screen, which you can just click on. It opens up a panel to the right. If you're on a phone, you just click on the chat bubble and it will open up all the chats that are open. So don't hesitate at any point to type into the chat with a question or a comment or an answer to a question that I might ask. And I'm going to start out by asking, just to see if you guys know how to do this, but also because I'm curious, first of all, does everybody know, did everybody at least see the recording of the preview of what's to come here in our community, the changes that are taking place? So type yes into the chat if you saw it.
Yep, I'm going to grab that. I'll grab the recording link and pop it in the chat here.
Good idea. Paul says nope. Okay, so Ann was there. All right, so yeah, type it in the chat. All right, so then the next question I want to ask you, when you first heard, for those of you who knew it was coming or know that it's coming now, when you first heard about that, how did it make you feel? When they said, okay, big change is coming in the business, okay, things are going to be changing, times they are changing, how did it make you feel? Because for most people, the first response to change is, oh my gosh, no, not change. And that is very typical. It's normal. It's the fight or flight response. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the, I just got used to this and now they're going to do it. Yeah, Anne's saying fear and uncertainty. I know, Anne, we still have to have that conversation. I apologize. This first webinar anyone has executed in days. This is the first webinar that anyone has. I don't know what you mean, Paul, but anyway, yeah. So the system, behind the scenes, the founders have been working on some really cool new stuff. Now, look, I'll tell you, Eric and I as mentors, and Anne is also a mentor here. Anybody else? We don't know exactly what's coming either. Okay, so it's not like we're back here holding on to some magic secret that you guys don't know. We don't know. We're going to know Monday. And everybody's going to know on Thursday. And here's what I do know about these guys. And let me just rewind the tape here. Eric and I are coming up on 2 years in this business. It'll be 2 years for us in December. And when we first got here, there was no funnel. Okay, there was no Aweber email sequence. There was no Scipio. There was no text marketing. There was just a really cool foundation for a program. As I like to put it, we were using, relative to what you guys came in with or what you have now, we were using stone knives and bear skins. Okay, we were carving things out on the walls. We were doing smoke signals to our prospects, right? That's kind of the difference of where we are now relative to where we were then. Within a few months, a couple of months of us getting rolling, then that's when we had the funnel. That's when the automation started to kick in. The systems were already there for how to do certain things, but the funnel wasn't there. All the kinds of automation, all the one-click wonders that we have right now, they weren't there. Okay, then they came into play, and so that was a change, right? The first thing that happened when the change took place is that even though they were showering us with this gift, this blessing, there was still this, oh, it's different. Everything's different. It's going to be different. I have to learn something new. Oh, the sky is falling. It's just a natural reaction for a lot of people. It's, and it's totally understandable because change isn't always on its surface a good thing. But I think always it is a good thing if you know how to arrange your mindset around it. So, here we are, things have evolved over time. There haven't been any dramatic changes, but along the way, there was a change to the compensation model. Guess what? It was a super positive change for anybody who was coming in brand new because they could make money right out of the blocks. They instead of having to give up completely their first sale, they got to keep 50% of the first sale. Well, guess what? The response from a lot of people was, change bad, change bad. Okay, it's a totally natural reaction. Honestly, if I have to be just 100% honest, Eric and I kind of were like, felt the same way in a way.
Yeah, just recently, just
fully qualified VIPs. It's like, wow, now we got to split the first two sales, not just the first one. But then we also realized what a big positive benefit that was for the people in our organization who hadn't made a sale yet, who were coming up on making their first sale, who really needed to get that cash flow in the door as soon as possible to cover that loan payment or whatever, just to have the money. So here we are now, fast forward a few months later or a year later. I can't remember exactly when we made that change, about a year ago, earlier this year maybe. And now there's more changes coming. And guess what? Every time these guys have made any kind of a change, it has been for the better. It has changed things, in some cases financially, in some cases technically, but it's always been an improvement. I want you to know something about the founders if you don't know this. And I'm just going to share this. And I'm certainly don't fall into the category of the founder worshiper or anything like that. It's not like that. It's not, it's not rock star syndrome. I've been around way too much of that. Okay. So it's not about that. These guys are smart. They're diverse. They've got a bunch of us around them who are feeding them, like the information from the field, if you will, about how everybody's feeling about different things or where the challenges are taking place or what we're running into on trainings and that sort of thing. And they make their adjustments accordingly. They want this business and this community to have longevity. And longevity only happens, especially in a world where any kind of technology is involved. Longevity is only going to happen with you evolving with the times. So we already had the best, arguably, at least the best business model in this whole category of business. And now my expectation is it's going to be way, way better, even though I don't know exactly what's happening. We got a little bit of a taste of it the other night. Eric's just posted into the chat here the link to the replay of the pre-launch or the preview meeting. So if you haven't watched
it's linked, copy that link because it's the link to the replay plus it's the place to actually register for the launch.
Oh, cool.
Webinar that's going to have on Thursday.
Yeah, and next Thursday there's going to be a full, open up the floodgates kind of, it's not a preview anymore. They're going to say exactly what's going on and what exact changes are going to be. But we do know some things, and we have been at least privy to some hints about what's going on. And there are some major players in our industry that are coming in to partner with us. And that's not a small thing for us to say, because we have already worked with some pretty serious people, and these are serious people. And you have to ask yourself, why would they do that? Why would they do that? So the idea here overall is that it's going to be better. It's going to be easier, simpler, more things under one roof, the ability to get to more people, to at least have something to offer more people, which has always been our philosophy. Have a lower ticket offer if your prospects aren't qualified for your higher ticket offer. And we've been building that on our own for a long time. And in fact, it's been interesting the resistance we used to get about that within the community, and now all of a sudden it's being adopted. So, go figure. So look, guys, the bottom line is we're not here to talk about all the details of that, but in fact, that change is good. Entrepreneurship is all about change.
And I just for myself, I want to be completely transparent. Like literally last week, I was, just me personally and how I was feeling and what my thoughts were. I wasn't necessarily on board with everything. that was happening. I mean, I'm just being completely honest with everybody. But now that I've actually I've seen what's happening, what and who's who's going to be a part of this moving forward. It's flipping exciting. It's really exciting.
It's pretty amazing.
And we're in a great spot.
Absolutely. Well, and again, we are dealing with a certain level of technology, and look, it took, I don't know, what was it, 110 years for the telephone to be fully adopted around the world or something, and it took only 4 years for the internet. And I mean, now technology is changing by the time we're off this call, right? Like, I guarantee you, by the time we're done with this training today, that Google's already changed something. In fact, they probably changed about 5 things since we've been on the call already. So it's a constant evolution. Now that may seem a little overwhelming, but when something is, you have to accept that it is. And that is the nature of our world right now. So again, going back to let's talk about change generally speaking, because, we both believe that change is good. And we also both recognize, just like Eric said, in his total transparency, we both resist it too, initially.
It's human nature. It's the way it's, but the brain is wired to do that.
You resist it naturally, but if you understand your cycle or your process, you'll also know I'm going to resist this. I know that I already know that I'm going to resist this, but I also know that I'm going to evolve around it. So when you just understand what your process is, then the front end of it doesn't have to be such like a sort of a panic attack. And like I was starting to say, entrepreneurship, it's all about change. When you start your own business, like you've done here, it's scary. You're jumping out of the safe, warm, and fuzzy zone at least for a lot of people, out of that job situation, or, you're in one way or another, you're going into uncharted territory. And so having a business, any kind of business, is always about experimentation. It's, you try one area. If you don't get a great response, you switch to another area. Getting down to the specifics about online marketing, you write copy for a program or a product or a service or whatever, you test it, you see who it attracts, you write some more, you test that. That's what we do in this type of a business. We constantly test and constantly change. And regardless of whether you realize it or not, behind the scenes, there is perpetual testing happening, right? You don't have to go out and do that testing, which is one of the blessings about this particular business model, is you don't have to go out necessarily and do all of that testing yourself. You get the benefit of people who have been around the block already, who know how to do the right kind of testing. And then when we know that something works, we just say, okay, here you go. Plug in, plug and play. Yeah, you may have to learn something new. You may have to learn a little bit of a different process or a new tool or something like that. But you didn't have to take the arrows in the back, spend the time, effort, energy, and money that it took to do the test to get to where, we could actually be frustrated with pushing those buttons, right? So at the end of the day, we just have to move through these various growth phases in our business. There's the limiting beliefs, all the unresolved issues about our past, they all come up for us. Our inner critic sends us messages, who do you think you are to want a 6-figure income? This thing you got into, well, you were telling yourself it was a scam at the beginning, and now here you are in the middle of it. And all this.
The brain is quick to say, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so.
But it's not just your brain. Sometimes it's the people around you that are just betting on you failing so that they could be right, So, look, in order to grow your business, you need to adjust your mindset, address the limiting beliefs, address all those unresolved issues. That's why we talk about this every single Friday on these trainings. One form or another, we're always talking about how to shift your mindset so that when things happen, you can still charge forward. Your adjustment period becomes more quick, your cycle of moving from the panic on the one side to the execution on the other side becomes, you squash it, you compress it. That's what our trainings are all about. Eric, you want to jump in? Because I can just go off on a tangent
so just a practical thing, something you can use like right now, this second. As you have those thoughts come up, they're going to come up. It's human nature. It's the way we're wired as animals, right? Like in the most primitive way. That's the way we're wired. Self-preservation, the best way for me to stay alive, my brain, in order to keep me alive, is to do nothing, never leave my house, never take a chance, never experience anything, because I might die if that happens. So the human nature is to hold you back from, or if anything changes, for your mind to stay saying, I told you so, or you start listening to the noise around you, or start looking at other things that you can do instead. So the first step in all of this is really awareness, right? Just being aware that that's what's going to happen. And so that when here's a practical tool that you can use. If you have a thought that comes up, like I told you that your mind tells you, or you're talking to yourself, because you're talking to yourself all day long in your head. Your mind says, that you start feeling nervous, and your mind starts saying, I told you so, this wasn't going to work for you. You're a failure, and this is not going to happen. When you have that thought come up, just say out loud, cancel. I have limitless possibilities. I can grow to my utmost potential. You cancel that thought, and then you reverse what the thought is. You have the same thought, but go the opposite direction. So
yeah, reframe it in a different phrase. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff. Let's say your mind tells you, I knew you couldn't do this. So what?
Well, like you said, first thing is you got to catch yourself. So a lot of people are running these tapes. I would say, a lot of people, we'll just say a lot of people are running these tapes. It happens. It happens to all of us. It happens to me, right? It happens to all of us. Like, there is no such thing as the end of this journey, right? No. You don't ever hit the finish line here, because things will happen. Like we were flying high, and then we had, Eric had his accident. Then we followed that up with, well, look, we rocked out from this accident. We've got a great story now. We just had a 6-figure month. Boom. And then, we went through September and had a really slow, or October and had a really slow month. And then we're like, well, what's wrong? We started, we run the same freaking cycles, you guys. We run the same cycles. So like Eric said, the key is awareness. The first thing you have to do is catch yourself doing it. And then you have to reframe the thought. So, there's a lot of different ways to do that. There's affirmations, which all of you are familiar with. I am, abundantly wealthy. I'm more than capable of making this business happen. If you want a really easy shortcut around affirmations, you can use what my friend Noah St. John calls afformations, which is the same idea in the form of a question. And the reason that we use it in the form of a question is because your mind, your brain, your actual brain functions very much like a search engine, right? Like Google. So when you plug something into Google, like if you typed into Google, why am I such an idiot right now? Google's going to spit back a whole lot of great answers for why you're such an idiot, right? And if you put that same information, like, why did I get involved with this business? Everybody told me it wasn't going to work. If you put that question into your brain, it's going to start spitting out answers and to support that position. So again, it's a reframe. So you need to look at it from the perspective of, well, how could this change be a really positive thing in my life? That's just a simple one. Like right now, how could this change be a positive thing in my life? Or if we're talking about, I don't remember. What did you say exactly, Eric? You said,
I told you so.
Yeah, I told you so. Well, what if you're not right? Speak back to that voice. What if you're wrong? What if you're wrong? Why is it so easy for me to learn new things? Like, why is it so easy is a good default question to come back to.
Why is it so easy?
Why is it so easy? Yeah, why am I so massively abundant? Let me do a little test with you guys. A lot of you have been through this if you've been on these trainings before, but let's just do a little test with it. I'll show you how your brain works. All right. So, I'm guessing that there's nobody on the line, us included, who feels like they're exactly where they want to be financially in the world right now. Okay. So let's just try this one, because money is like a real trigger point for a lot of people, right? It's like the number one trigger point, money and relationships, right? So, and those two things are intertwined as well. So just say the words. I can't hear you, so go ahead and say the words out loud in the form of an affirmation. I am abundant beyond my imagination. Or just, let's not even go that far. Let's just go, I have lots of money. Okay. I have lots of money. Say it out loud. All right, I can see you guys that I can see. So I have lots of money. Okay. All right. Now
I have lots of money.
Pay attention. Now let's do it again one more time, because something just happened when you did that, right? Something happened in your body, something happened in your mind, something happened. Okay. Yeah. So say it out loud again, but this time pay really close attention to what happens. Okay. So I have lots of money.
I have lots of money.
Okay. Now what happened, right?
My mind said, no, you don't.
You do not. You don't have any money. Nobody in your family's ever made any money. You're a freaking loser, right?
My mind said, no, you don't.
Like those of us who grew up with Saturday morning cartoons, right? There was the angel and the devil, right? The angel on the shoulder and the devil on the shoulder. Well, you should go to or no, right? Okay, so that's exactly what happens for most people. All right, well, let's reframe that, okay, in the form of a question. So what did I say? I have lots of money. Is that what I said?
I have lots of money.
What if you just add why is it so easy for me to have lots of money? Why is it so easy for me to have lots of money? Say it out loud.
Why is it so easy for me to have lots of money?
Okay, so did you get that same resistance? If you pay attention to say, you ask that question, did you get that same resistance?
No.
Probably not, because your brain doesn't look at this as a thing that is not true. It looks at it as a thing that it can now help you to create, just like a search engine, right? The problem is most of us are asking the wrong questions most of the time. So if you're asking yourself questions,
Exactly right.
Why am I such an idiot? Why am I such a loser? Why am I blah, 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 right? And your brain has absolutely no attachment to the answer to that question, just for the record. Your subconscious is the thing that goes to work at that, right? It has absolutely no emotional connection to the answer that you're searching for. It's not going to go, oh, hold on, Mark, wait just a minute. No, let's take care of you for a minute. Your brain doesn't work that way. Your brain goes, all right, let's go find out why you're such an idiot, right? Let's go find out why you're so broke. And it's going to start to spit out all this information about
your brain says this. Your brain goes like this. Oh, man, I got that right in my back pocket. I got a list. Here, let me go over them for you quick.
Yeah, and in fact, you know what? Not only will I tell you now, but when you close your eyes to go to sleep tonight, let me wake you right back up and tell you all over again how that works. Okay? Your brain's going to go about that process just the way it's designed to. It's not a defect in your brain. It's just the way that it works. And once you understand how it works, then it becomes in your control. It's
and
like
why does your brain work like that? So your brain works like that because on the most primitive level, right? When there was saber-tooth tigers and we're hunting with spears, the way to not die was to not take chances, right? To go back and not that was the way that you weren't going to die. And so that's why it works like that. I mean, it's just ingrained into us, in the deepest, most primitive manner. So,
yeah,
it's how it is. It's not going to change.
That's how it is. And we come around to this same topic and that same tool a lot. In fact, here we are talking about change, and we're going back to basics again. There's a reason we go over these same things over and 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 over, because A, we want you to get it. B, it works. It works. We know it works.
And no matter how much success you have in life, this is a constant that you have to go back to.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who doesn't.
Even when you make $1 million in a year, your brain is still going to try to keep you from taking chances and doing things that it sees as a risk. It's the way it is, no matter how successful you are.
Yeah.
No matter how much things work for you.
But here's something that's really powerful and really important, though, you guys, and this kind of reflects back to something I said earlier. Well, it's actually something that Eric said earlier. It deals with the awareness factor. Our beliefs, like our current beliefs about change, influence our behaviors relating to change. So what you think about change right now is going to decide for you, unless you consciously intervene, unless you intercept it, catch it in the form of awareness and reframe it, it's going to frame out exactly how you're going to respond. So if you perceive change as scary or something to be afraid of, then you're going to resist it and you're going to experience a lot of stress around it. But if you view change as a creative process that opens you up to new possibilities, then the change experience becomes exciting, it becomes easier, and it certainly becomes a lot faster to transition. And, again, that part of the brain, that's that fight or flight, that hardwire for fear, it's called the amygdala. If you ever want to look it up, there's some really interesting information you'll learn from understanding how this it's just a little piece of the brain. It's like this big in your brain. It's just constantly scanning your environment to keep you protected and to keep you safe. And it beckons back to that ancient time that none of us ever even remember, when we were in that sort of fight or flight mode. fight, flight, or freeze. So, look, we know so muand about the brain now that we didn't know, even 5 years ago, let alone 500 years ago. But, all the research out there, and even our life experiences, if you examine them closely, they show that if you don't learn to embrace change, then you end up repeating the same patterns. You end up unhappy. You end up unfulfilled. You spend a lot of energy on the resistance. Like it's a lot harder to push against something than it is to just flow with it. And then you constantly also feel like you're under stress. And that kind of thing leads to chronic health issues, all kinds of negative impacts on our relationships, and definitely impacts our business. So the bottom line is if we don't learn to embrace the change over time, it's going to negatively impact, easy for me to say, it's going to negatively impact both our personal and our professional lives. So again, just to kind of sum that up, to reduce the fear of change, if you just better begin understanding yourself and how and why you respond to change in the way that you do, that's going to help you to make those adjustments, to use these tools that we've been talking about to reframe things. And then, of course, you can also reduce the fear of change by learning a proven model and tools that are going to help us also reduce the resistance and embrace and successfully navigate that change. Guess what, guys? Bullseye, you're here already, right? You don't, nobody's pulling the plug here and saying, okay, guys, you're on your own, go figure this out. We're saying, hang tight for a week. We got it all figured out. Here you go. Here are the tools. Yeah, are we a little sort of, antsy about it? Yeah, of course. But right now it's more of an anticipation than it is a concern, or certainly not a fear. Look, we've also been around these guys enough to trust. They don't, just think about it logically for a second. For those of you who are very logical thinkers, let me speak to you for a second, okay? Would it make any sense whatsoever for these guys to do anything that was going to jeopardize their business? And they can't have a successful business without you having a successful business.
Yeah. So here's the way I look at it. Like Jeff and I know some of the people that are going to be part of this launch. We can't announce any of the people, but we know some of the people that are part of the launch. These guys don't do things that don't work.
Well, that's a pretty big statement. I mean, we all.
They've been around the block. They've had a lot of success. They've made millions and millions of dollars online, and so basically, they are, along with us, along with everybody that's here, right, are launching a brand new company. And guess what? You're all on the inside. You all get to take part of that, before it launches. So super exciting.
Yeah, we've got several things in our world going on like that, which is kind of fun right now. It's like, wow, which one's going to pop biggest and first? It's kind of fun.
Deborah, I'm listening to that right now too. Jeff just turned me on to that.
Yeah, I'm listening to it as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool stuff.
I just started listening to that.
Well, once you hear it completely, my goodness, you're going to totally understand. I mean, I already know what's going to happen. Not, exactly what's going to happen, but I know that it's going to be wonderful.
Big.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like I didn't
put that book on your playlist, by the way, on Audible. All of you should jump on and start listening to that today. Play Bigger.
Yeah, you can actually go into the Alex's Audible account to get it. Honestly, I got turned on to it by somebody else, and I was listening to it before I realized that there was kind of a thing happening in AID-FTL or in our community. So, yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. I mean, who doesn't want to play bigger? It's fun. Look at the whole thing like a game. So what, I think we kind of covered that. Wow, it's almost noon already.
Yeah, we were 5 minutes.
Where did this hour go? I'm thinking,
let's just open this up. I mean,
we've still got to fill it.
Have anything to add to that, or any questions, any specifics, questions, concerns? Here's one thing that I noticed from people on our team, been reaching out to me and saying, hey, should I stop all my marketing?
Don't ever say those words. Those are bad
words. Mark it on as hard as you can. It's, forever and always. Your goal here is to build your list, to expand your reach, and to build a relationship with that list, and offer them things that are going to help them, that you fully endorse, and that have helped you, that you want to give to them because for sure it's going to help them. Okay, so mark it on, build the list, keep going, do not stop. Jeff and I are pouring gas on the fire as far as our marketing goes.
Yeah, for sure. And even to the point where, I think the question came up on the webinar the other night, should we just hold off on signing anybody new up? And I don't think so. I mean, this is my opinion. You do what you want, but we just brought in another VIP this week, or she just finished her financing, and so we should be bringing her on board in the next couple of days. And we're not keeping this a secret. We're framing the conversation with integrity. There are some changes coming, but we believe they're all going to be positive changes. And just you're getting in at a perfect time. That you're right here at a time when we're about to make huge improvements to our system, which is already a good system. So yeah, I wouldn't hesitate. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. But remember, like the whole reason, or like the whole purpose for for being a marketer is to build a list of people who follow what you do. It's not to make sales. Okay. I think that's really where people kind of get off the rails a little bit. It's not about making sales. It's about building a relationship with a group of people who are like-minded in some way. And so, we hear from people on a regular basis, well, gosh, it really doesn't feel good to see all those people on Scipio say stop or whatever. It's like, reframe that too. Those are people, anybody who doesn't want to hear your message is not somebody you want to be sending your message.
Exactly. You don't want to send. You gladly want to opt out anybody that wants to opt out.
Yeah, how quickly can we get rid of all the people we don't want to be talking to?
They're not your client. They're not your prospect.
That's the way we always look at that. It's like, stop. Yay, thank you. And I mean, I get that sounds sort of counterintuitive, but really at the end of the day, what you want to build is a tribe. You want to build an organization of people, even if they never buy anything from you. People who are interested in what you're up to and are like-minded. And we get this all the time. We have there's people we haven't even had a real conversation with that we have these extensive text message conversations with because, maybe they can't afford to be involved, or they're not, it's not the right time for them, but they're seeing what we do and they're seeing our update videos and things that we put out, and they're like it's like we're courting, we're dating, right? We're building this relationship. And when the time is right, they will, or maybe they won't, come around. But when the time is right, something else will shift. Like I've shared with you on several occasions before, I've got people in this business now. We've got people in our organization that I started talking to 2 businesses ago, through 3.5 years ago now, actually, this wasn't even the topic of the conversation. So we stayed in touch. We always put out good, valuable content to them. Every now and then, some of those people I would pick up the phone and, make a call. And it wasn't just, hey, you want to buy this thing I'm doing? It was about the notes that I took in my contacts. It was like, well, how's your daughter doing? I remember that you were, getting ready to send her off to college last time we talked a year ago. What's going on? Oh, she's in college. That kind of thing. People appreciate that. And we don't do it just
the person we've got coming in right now first came into my list about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and you guys couldn't put it together back then, and now basically the whole relationship with that person has been happening through me.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. There's a lot of crossover. But again, it's really all about building the solid relationship. And if you really want to boil it down to the least common denominator, it's really genuinely caring about the outcome for other people.
Caring more about that person than you do about yourself.
About your sale, your bank account, your bottom line,
Wanting to truly make an impact in their life, and knowing that what you have to offer is going to make that impact. You can be really strong in talking to people if you feel like what you have to offer is the best thing for them. And because you can say that because it has been the best thing for you. That's people say, like I've had conversation and people say, or they'll text or some, that's a scam or whatever. I'm like, dude, I mean, it's the same exact thing that I got into 22 months ago and I made $760,000. I mean, it's not, how is that I started at zero, it was the same opportunity.
Just like you.
So it's like, my gosh, so anyways.
Well, yeah. All right. So now we're getting into the all warm and fuzzy part of what we do. But we do generally, care about other people's outcome for a lot of different reasons. Hello. You want to come say hello to the rest of the world? So school was canceled today because of the smoke from the big fires up in Chico.
Hey, Julian, come on in here and say hi.
Hey. This is my youngest son, Julian.
How's it going?
What's up, Julian?
Oh, hey, Eric. How you doing?
Look at me.
Lee,
no longer broken neck.
No,
Last time you saw me, my neck was broke.
Yeah, you were
sealed.
He was there when it happened.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, we're just about to wrap up.
Okay.
What's up?
I was wondering.
That'll wait. If you were wondering, then it'll wait for 5 minutes. Okay. So, yes, 16-year-olds are. There is.
Anybody have anything to add to what we're saying?
Yeah. Questions, comments. Left him speechless, Eric.
Just want to say thanks. You guys are right on target, and I think that's what everybody needed to hear today about change and about being comfortable with uncertainty, and that's a challenge for everybody. So myself included. So I think that you guys just hit the nail on the head. Thank you for all of that.
Pleasure. Well, appreciate you saying that. See, it did seem like a timely topic.
Yeah, it is very timely. I mean, it's scary for everybody.
Normally we get together on Friday mornings and say, well, what are we going to talk about today? This week it was like Tuesday, I think I said, Eric,
yeah,
we're going to be talking.
Well, I know what we're going to talk about on Friday.
Yeah.
Got this one nailed.
Yep.
All right, you guys. Well,
thank you.
Anybody else? You're welcome. Thank you for your comment. Anybody else want to add or anything?
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, Lee, let us know what we can do to help you.
Yeah, I'm going to see you Monday.
Hey, everybody, if Jeff and I can help you in any way, if there's anything we can do to serve you, we're more than happy to do it. We want to help you in any way we can.
Yeah, hopefully you guys know that. We put that out every week. Some of you guys know that for sure. Actually have done it. So cool. All right, you guys. Well, then that's going to be a wrap. Finish Strong Friday, #FSF is a wrap.
Yeah, finish strong. Make it happen today.
Yeah, go out and tear it up, guys. Make things happen. All right, have a fantastic weekend. We will see you sometime soon, next week.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
See you guys.
Bye
Good
for now.
weekend.
Glad you're better, Eric.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I understand.